You'll be fine. I'm a bit tired too. I stayed up late watching Cobra Kai last night.
Wow.
It's very good.
Is it?
Yeah, it is good. I mean, for a child of the 80s for whom Karate Kid was a big film, it's done very well, I think.
Okay. I'll check it out. So hello everybody. We are here at AMPjam Day 2, and we've got Matt Griffin with us. Hello from me also, and we're very glad to have you on board for this. It's been great to as I said, from that session, and because obviously part of the reason that this thing exists, AMPjam exists, is because of this current situation. And good morning, people who are coming in. The reason that this convention exists is because of the lack of physical conventions that are happening, and I know that given where you're sort of at with your career in print, this would have been, you would have loved to have been at them, but you were saying you've only sort of known people electronically, that you got to meet sort of face to face yesterday.
Kind of face to video face.
Face to video face in our big panel with Matt Ferguson and Eileen Steinbach of AMPjam Posters, and Dolly and Chris Thornley, aka Raid 71. It was I really enjoyed it, and I don't think you were out of place there. I think and clearly I think there were a lot of people, especially in the art community, who already knew of you before you came to the print world, because they knew you as an illustrator, because they have that sort of illustrator background and stuff. Is that something that you'd be able to talk about a bit, just so like your journey to this point, because you're in this sort of necessarily a changeover? Are you going to still do illustration for books at this point, or just illustration work going forward, or do you want to move almost completely into posters? Like, what's the?
Well, there's kind of a few transitions happening, and like transitions happen throughout your career. You kind of set new goals and targets, and you figure out new places you might want to go. Sure. And at the moment, I'm definitely in one of those currents towards new, a lot of new doors are opening. And the two main ones being the poster scene, which I'm getting more involved in, and also some stuff in film and TV development, both as an illustrator and a storyteller. I've written some books and stuff. But I was knocking around the fringes of alternative poster art for a long time. So I would have started making fan art posters. It started actually with a private commission for a friend of my brother's, who's actually a very famous actor, but I'm not going to name him.
Oh, you're not going to name drop? Okay.
No. But he is a mate of my brother who is also an actor. And he commissioned me to make posters of his favorite films. And I've always been a film, a lover of film. So I jumped at it and I did that. And then I made some posters for my favorite films for fun, for like The Shining and Pan's Labyrinth and a few others.
The piece that we've seen,
Yeah. So this would have been back in 2012 or so. So I was kind of knocking around the fringes of it. I had a piece for Hero Complex Gallery at that stage back then for Akira, but not really, properly getting my feet under the table. Then I started doing work for Arrow, because I sent Arrow video some of those posters I'd made, and I got my first couple of DVD covers for them, and I'm now working on number 93, I think, at this stage. So, I was doing a lot of film art. I did a Back to the Future poster with Mike Wood of Under the Floorboards, it's kind of a mad story attached. I don't know if we have time, but it was meant to be just a licensed print. and Universal liked it so much that they said, okay, this is going to be the 30th anniversary print, or 30th anniversary poster. They ended up giving it away at the London Film and Comic Con, but like Steven Spielberg was apparently involved in the approval process. And, we were on these conference calls with Universal, and they were like, Steven really loves it. And, Steven who? Oh, Mr. Steven Spielberg. And you're going, holy shit. Oh, sorry, holy smokes. So I was knocking around the fringes is what I mean. And I then started becoming kind of friends with some of the artists, as we know. And the likes of Matt Ferguson, and that kind of brought me more into the fold in recent years and helped me get into it properly. And now, hopefully, I'm in to stay, definitely.
Well, you've made quite an entrance. I mean, obviously, you've had. We'll come to a couple of your first piece that was done as a sort of a licensed movie screen print in a bit, but Dune obviously made waves, and you're saying it's. We'll we've got the book cover up just now, so and obviously the print was this, but without the titles.
Yes.
So I mean, I think you said before that this was a piece that people were sort of nagging for.
Yeah, it was unreal. The amount of requests I got for it as a print, like a little bit before the book came out, obviously, because it was a piece of art I had done and put online. It looked slightly different. It was a lot more muted, but it got lots of likes. It kind of went sort of semi-viral. And one of the people who had seen it was this art director I've worked with in Penguin, and said they wanted to license it for a new edition of the book. And now I've been a fan of Dune since I was a kid, and so I nearly had a heart attack and leapt around the studio, jumping up and down, screaming. And then somewhere in that fervor, a little bit of sense overtook me, and I said, this is my opportunity to do an illustrated Dune, like an absolute top of the bucket list since I was a kid. So I said, yes, I might be interested in licensing the work for the cover, but I'd like to do a fully illustrated edition. So would you consider that? And they said, no, we're definitely not doing fully illustrated, but you could do illustrations for the end papers and for the inside of the dust jacket. And then that's when it became this deluxe edition. I don't actually know if the plan originally was to be a deluxe. It could well have been their intention from the start. But I got to do the interiors, and it was all just dream come true stuff. And then once it came out, daily basis, several emails a day, where can I get this as a print? Mm-hmm. And so I said it to Joe at Bottleneck, and he said, absolutely. And then, as always, Matt Ferg was enlisted, possibly reluctantly, to help me separate it, because I would have looked at that and said, no chance it can be separated. There's a million colors, and all my textures that I do are in there. And I thought, no way. And I think he banged it out. I think he just said, yeah, it's easy. And just bing, there you go, done. And that's it. Out it came.
We mentioned yesterday about the Ferg's abilities as someone who can do seps.
Yes. Yeah.
And he was telling us yesterday about how, because I hadn't previously quite appreciated that he was someone who was well known for his set, or well known within the community perhaps as someone who for his set work. But Jason Edmiston being another who can who's very good at set work, and Matt telling us that actually one of the reasons that he knows so much about it is because he had a lot of assistance from Jason. So the on Dune, obviously you're delighted to have the book cover become a print, but now we've also had teases of we won't show it on here, but you've got teasers of you've got one for the Lynch film.
Yes, yeah. So the guys talked about that yesterday. So the news is out, and actually my road into Dune was through the film first. When I was a young kid, my dad big into films, and we would have nerded out on all kinds of films. Once they're epic, he loves them. Well, it could be Roman epic, sci-fi epic, any kind of really big scale movies. He loves them. So Dune would have been a family favorite, the Lynch film, growing up, and it was on the back of that I read the book when I was about I don't know 14. So when Vice Press and Matt came and said, "How about doing a poster for the Lynch June?" I was like, "Absolutely!" And I put a lot into it because I don't know, I had imagined that you can tell my passion levels for projects based on the quality of the work. And something like that, I would really put a huge amount in because it would mean a lot personally and kind of another dream come true thing. So I did kind of give it my all, and I am proud of it. And Matt says he likes it, and he's a very good judge of art. So hopefully people are going to like it. I really can't wait for it to come out. The waiting is hard. I want it out now.
Do you know?
I want all the prints out now.
I know. Yeah, we've spoken in the run up to this because there are some prints that you've got in for approval, and we'll do an exclusive preview of one of those towards the end of the session. But that once you're done, you really want it to just be out there. But there can be quite a long lead time after you've completed an artwork, or after you believe you've completed an artwork, because obviously you could a licensor could come back and say, no, you've got to change this, that, and the other.
Yeah, or even it could be just a case, as with the Dune, that it's ready to go, but they're just waiting for the right time to release it. And I bow to their better wisdom. It's the same with the books and all this stuff. I'm not a marketeer, and when people know better when to put stuff out, I'll leave them to it. But
sure.
From an artist's point of view, it's like I just want everybody to see it. Well, you're kind of in two minds, because you don't want people to see it and think it's crap and tell you so, but you do want it out in the world, yeah.
Ian Fraser has asked about, I assume about the Dune print. Will the print have the winged pants in it?
No, there's no winged pants in this. The main...
You heard it here first.
Yeah, my main... composition key kind of feature in it is something that I think only maybe diehard fans of the film will get. I don't know, but it's a piece of set design that's only in the film for about 1.5 seconds.
I'm going to shock everybody here and admit that I've never seen Dune, but my understanding of Dune is that there are only diehard fans.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. I was talking to someone about this yesterday, that two of my best mates last year, before all the pandemic and everything, they were showing the 16mm version in Dublin in the IFI, and they said, we're going to go and watch, we got tickets to go and watch this. And I was like, oh yeah, enjoy it, it's just amazing, it's epic. And they called me afterwards and they're like, that was the greatest pile of we've ever seen. And I'm like, I can't see it, I don't have an objective view of that film at all. It's just, I adore it, but David Lynch hates it too, so I don't know.
We had a comment. Obviously, we've talked about, especially you becoming aware of growing your awareness within the community and getting some assistance from artists. But Stephen Sutcliffe asked if there is that sort of community aspect of artists helping each other out, or whether it's sort of, the comment has gone up now, but it's whether it's sort of, he said a small circle, I believe. So it was, I guess he's talking about, is it quite cliquey, or is there a much more of a community feel? It seemed like there is that sort of community feel from the panel we had yesterday. But what's your experience to get to this point where you're starting to have those connections and whatever? What's your experience of the community?
It's 100% community feel to it. Everybody is there to help everybody else out. I wouldn't see it as cliquey at all. I mean, there's artists I don't know that we don't chat with each other, but that's not because they're in a different clique. It's just because we haven't.
Yeah. They're just friends you haven't met yet.
Exactly. Just friends I haven't met yet. No, it's amazing. The artist community, I mean, across the board in commercial art is great. It's very supportive of each other. We're all in the same game. I mean, it's a very tough industry to break into. The first few years are incredibly hard while you try and make a name for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all in the same boat. And so it's always been very mutually beneficial and supportive and good. And then the poster community is amazing like that. We have a group on Facebook, and we critique each other's work. We show each other roughs, concepts. We talk about all kinds of stuff, and we've all become good friends, and everybody's willing to help out. You know, it's an awesome community. It really is.
My experience up until creating this convention has been generally just collectors, but we've seen from, you know, on the Facebook, it's been the likes on our Facebook page are collectors, but through Instagram and Twitter, we've seen so many of the actual artists who are aspiring, or artists who are established and whatever, coming in and being supportive of each other and of this event. So I think my awareness of, you know, just what the artist community is like has that awareness has only come in the past, you know, few weeks, really, and it's incredible to see. It's really, really lovely to see. It's a very positive vibe. And a very you know, we'll talk like SG Posters. Eileen, she says that, you know, probably over half of her social media feed is actually resharing other people's art and everything. You know, she's very much about bringing awareness to other artists. You know, I like this. Do you like it too? You know, well, not even asking that. Do you like it too? But I like this. So here's this, and you can decide whether you like it or not, or whatever.
We all, you know. It's all about that, you know, like for one thing, for me anyway, social media there's nothing personal on there at all. You know, I don't really talk about my life outside of my work on social media. And so it's all about other people's work and my work and promoting my stuff. But like speaking of the community and helping each other out and stuff, like as we were talking about, I was very much on the absolute outskirts of the scene. And it would have been like Matt Ferguson saying, you know, I'm going to help you out, and Vice Press giving me commissions like the Lynch June and Matt art directing and stuff like that. So it was very much like the guys who are at the top of the game are looking out for those that they want to bring in and help out. And that is amazing, because otherwise you'd probably be knocking around the fringes thinking, how do I get in there? There's no way. Yeah. You know, the door is open for everybody.
That's lovely.
Once your stuff is decent.
I think we should get up the image of Iron Giant, because this was your first poster proper within the community, or so is my understanding. It was your first licensed piece through Bottleneck. It is currently covering faces, so apologies for that. But Key, who we've mentioned before, we're just trying to make the image big. That's all. So obviously the style is quite different to what we're seeing in Dune and stuff. And I wondered, you know, if you talk a little bit about what Iron Giant represented for you within, you know, in terms of making this transition that you're currently making, you know, to doing more prints and whatever, but also what it is like from, and there's some love coming in for this print. I think it's a beautiful print, and I think a lot of people, because particularly, and yes, Ian Fraser's completely right, lovely colours. So there's you're getting love here, but
thank you.
You know, it's a case of, you know, you were doing an art, perhaps it's something that's more like what. Perhaps did you say it was to fulfill a brief? Was that originally? Yeah. It was a brief piece.
That was what I was just about to say. So like both Iron Giant and Up, which we'll probably show. We'll show that in a bit. Started life as commercial commissions for an Irish cinema, for a Brad Bird season and a Pixar season, and on the back of the Brad Bird brief, the brief, would have been, do anything you want once it's Brad Bird themed. And Iron Giant's one of my favorite films. So like there was only ever one choice. And I guess I'd take a brief on its own merits. Like, okay, I'm going to represent Iron Giant. I'm not going to put, I'm not going to make it look like the Dune cover. I do have a propensity for making stuff look quite dark, and scary, even when I don't want to. But luckily with Iron Giant, I don't think I did.
And people from the print community have not necessarily seen that yet. The dark and scary, like what your actual go-to is. Your sort of perhaps your default setting is dark and again we'll preview a piece in a little bit.
Like I do a lot of horror DVDs for Arrow, so I don't know, but I mean the Iron Giant. So you took it on its own merits. So it was what'll make a nice composition. So and your thirds and your golden triangle and stuff, and placing the Iron Giant where you're placing them. What did I think about when I was watching the film? Like I always, when I'm making any kind of poster or DVD cover, I watch the film often more than once. I take stills, scribble in a notebook. The very particular style of the trees they had in the background animation or backgrounds for the film, the kind of autumnal thing of it. So that was all part of it. And I got to meet Brad Bird actually.
So jealous of that.
It was really cool. He was lovely. I got in a lift, so it wasn't going to happen, the meeting, and then he was there and he was like, no, come on. And I said, I'll meet you upstairs. No, come on, get in the elevator, which was very nice of him. And I had my nephew with me. I brought my nephew along, and we were in this tiny lift with Mr. Bird and his people. And I kept pressing the emergency cancel button with my butt. And I stalled the lift 2 or 3 times going up, and to the point where it wasn't funny anymore. It was actually, they were getting irritated. But then we went out and we had all these pictures taken, and he was really generous and gracious with that. So after all of that, and when I started talking to Joe in Bottleneck, I said, look, I've got these 2 pieces, and I had converted them into posters, putting the title on and stuff like that. And would you be up for it? And he said, absolutely. And so that's where they started life. But as indicators of my future output, I don't think they're a good indication. I have another portfolio under a pseudonym, Ignatius Fitzpatrick. They're probably closer to that. That's more cartoony and nice.
I haven't had a chance to go through that. That's because you were saying that yesterday that you've got, because I was saying there aren't enough prints for, we were talking about, perhaps films or areas of film that are underserved so far by this hobby or this culture and stuff. And I said Golden Age of Cinema, and I believe you said that you'd done some stuff. Is that right?
I've done
in your pseudonym.
I do a lot, yeah. So for Arrow, I've done films like The Apartment, a lot of Golden Age stuff for them, and then for Studio Canal, I've done the key art for Kind Hearts and Coronets last year. Oh my God, mine's gone blank, of the studio Ealing comedy classics. So I've just finished one for another. Don't think I can say what it is, but I have another Ignatius Ealing comedy key art. So they use it in the restoration. It would have been in the cinemas and stuff had they been open. And it'll be on the DVD and all that kind of stuff.
I thought I'd just let you know that, again, there was a lot of love coming through for you. And one of the things that I think I mentioned it yesterday about, when in this hobby, we more often than not, it's not like I was saying, I was comparing it to music. We sort of see the art first, and people are saying it's really nice they've had an awareness of you, but actually to have the chance to hear from you and see you, and connect you with your art is really nice. And people are just saying, you seem like a great guy. He is a great guy, and you also have to have an appreciation right now for the fact that he is doing incredibly well not to swear, because he is it's just free flowing. Usually, don't get me wrong, in your dulcet Irish tones it sounds awesome. You swear really well, but I'm just trying to keep it, because it's only it's 12:28.
My brother had dinner with Quentin Tarantino once in Ireland, years and years ago, like 20 years ago or something. And at one stage, Quentin leaned over to him and went, "Can you say that again?" Sorry, say what? Say again. Why? It's just I've never heard anyone say beep like they really mean it. So we had to curse for Quentin Tarantino.
It was like
sadly, it didn't lead to the lead role in his next film, but it's a good story.
People are saying you swear with class. So
thank you very much.
And people are also saying, in fact, Tomchesters, who's a great guy, he's a framer, and his company is Bay Framing. If you need framing done, Bay Framing, but also other framers are available. He's saying he's literally, whilst during this stream, he's ordered the book because he loved the art in the first place. But he said you seem like such a great guy, so it's prompted him to go and order the deluxe version of the book.
That's so nice.
So that's
Thank
good.
you.
It's marketing.
Buy my books as well.
Buy his books.
Buy
his kids' books. Not the books of his kids, the books that you've done for kids.
I've written 3 books. Yeah.
He's written 3, but I didn't know you'd written 3 books.
Yeah, a trilogy for 10 plus is the official age group. Yeah, they're published and everything, not self-published.
And what's the name? What's the name of the
real books?
What's the name of the book series?
The series is called the Ayla Trilogy, AYLA Trilogy.
AYLA.
And the first book is A Cage of Roots, and it's a story, magical adventure, very dark and dangerous, about kids being sucked into ancient Irish magic and ancient Ireland itself.
That sounds really cool.
It's very global. You don't have to be just Irish to appreciate it, I hope.
Awesome.
So plug there, shameless plug.
And speaking of shameless plugs, Bembo has just popped in and said, talking of marketing, yes, so later on we will have some APs from Matt going up on Uniquely Geekly's website. Also, Tomchesters has just asked, we'll come back to the APs, Bembo, I promise, but Tomchesters has asked where he can get the books. Do you know, I literally thought of you and your daughter when you just said about these books, so Tom and his daughter. Yes, right. They're asking where can they find the books? They're on Amazon. If they're not in your local bookshop, probably in the UK, I would very much doubt that they're in your local Waterstones anymore. The first one came out in 2015. And the second 2016 and then 2017. So their shelf life in the UK shops, I'd imagine, is gone, but they're still available on Amazon. And actually, my actor brother, who I've spoken about, just did the audiobook for the first book, which is available on Audible and Apple Books and all that kind of stuff. Cool. So it's so AYLA, and is it Ayla? Trilogy. Ayla Trilogy. The Ayla Trilogy. Yeah, if you Google it, it'll pop up. We'll also tweet some links of your book series. Awesome. And so yes, back to the APs that are coming out. Posters and stuff. Back to posters and stuff. Yes, he said and stuff. You see, he's doing very well not to swear. So we've got Uniquely Geekly Bembo, who will be on the show. Who'll be with us for the convention in a few hours' time. He's got some APs of yours for sale, and apparently there are very, very few of them. Could you tell us what's going up in the Uniquely Geekly store, and you know, in a short while? Yeah, well, I can't confirm numbers except that they are low in the single digits. Yes, Ian Fraser, who I know assists Bembo from time to time, has said there's only 2 left in stock. I don't know which print he's referring to, but I know that you've got some Dune, right? There's Dune there, APs, a couple of them left. There might be a foil, and there are some Iron Giants there too, just a couple. So get on it. And the foil of the up print is sold out. But the last, I think they're down to 11 copies of the regular. We'll get that up now. Bottleneck. That's on Bottleneck though, not on. We'll bring up that, and we'll have a little chat about Up, and then we'll move to previewing your next print, or one of your next prints, depending on what happens with scheduling. But we'll preview one of your next prints, and also get in some more. We'll invite some more questions. So we've got Up. We've got Up. Anyway, we've got the Up print up, and we were talking about, again, this is a similar experience for you to Iron Giant, right? In terms of it being a brief.
Yes.
I do think so. You said that this is going to be so different. This print is not necessarily the last that you'll see of this style, but the stuff that's to come is very different from Iron Giant and Up, and it's more in the Dune region. But some of that design language does seem to be there. Stephen says fab colours, and that's exactly what I thought as soon as I saw it when you sent me the JPEG. But yeah, some of the design language is there, especially in the waterfall. But if you could just talk about the piece in terms of your process there. And
yeah, well, again, we're doing Pixar season, Make Anything You Want. So I was like, I can't remember why I chose Up specifically. I mean, I do love it as a film. But it was just one of those where that image popped into my head of Paradise Falls, and that's what came out. And yeah, there are elements there which are common in my work, regardless of the subject. I think bold colors is probably a calling card of mine. And then there's a lot of texture work and kind of painterly little brushes and things like that. So that's the common thread. But I mean, again, it's not the last animated movie poster I'll ever do. And in fact, I'm going to start working on something hopefully for Bottleneck in the animated film. But it'll probably be more the Ignatius Fitzpatrick brand, which sounds awful, but in commercial art, it's kind of.
Where does that name come from?
My granddad, Jack Alphonsus Aloysius Ligori Ignatius Fitzpatrick. I don't know if I got that on the right order.
Blimey.
Yeah,
that's quite a name.
Such a cool name. So
I have. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Well, no, it's often people ask me why I do that. Have this kind of a pseudonym. Why not just have it all under the one roof? But in commercial
SEO.
art, yeah. No, I don't mean the full name. I mean have that style of work in my portfolio. But in commercial art, if a client goes on my website and sees something that looks like mid-century animation and something like my DVD cover for The Ring or something like that beside each other, they'll get a little bit confused as to what it is they'll get when they'll hire me. What do you do? Do you do the happy cartoony stuff, or do you do the really quite horrifying horror stuff? So you separate them out, and
sure.
This sort of pseudonym alter ego was born. But there's also going to be a lot more prints coming in the Ignatius style, and I think the animated kind of stuff and the Pixars and the Disneys, that'll move to that. And if you see a print coming out by Ignatius Fitzpatrick, you'll know that really it's me, but under a different banner. I'll continue to do the sci-fi and the weird, the scary stuff.
There's a few copies left of Up, which is now off the screen. On Bottleneck, there's only 11 copies left. So if you want one, go grab one. It's kind of as simple as that. So I think what we'll do is we'll move on to just to previewing your next piece,
Yes.
And hopefully there's some excitement from this because as I say, it's very different to anything that you've. Do you know what I mean? Is in because people should be excited because of just how different it is.
What if they go, I'm not buying that.
Guesses in the comments in the next 20 seconds as to what it could be. It's.
I think people who have followed along with my stuff, and in the group, the Facebook group, Art of Matt Griffin. If you're not in it, look it up.
Art of Matt Griffin, guys. Art of Matt Griffin. We'll tweet.
Particularly if you're a poster collector, because I really want to fill the group up with more collectors. But anyway, they might. I think they'll probably cop this quite quickly because it's an old concept that I really liked the concept, but I didn't like the execution. I hated the execution, in fact. And so I said, I'm going to come back to that concept with the kind of skills I have now, because obviously you get better as you go, and I'm better now than I was then, and remake it. And under Matt Ferg's Watchfly, he helped art direct it, and we've got it looking good. I think I like it.
We're going to show it now. Here it comes, guys.
This is just a piece of it.
So that's just a piece of it. We'll put it. We'll make it really big so you can see it nice and big. So you got like, no, it's all right. No, actually, no, that's sort of fine. But you can see it's basically covering the majority of the screen right now. So you can definitely. So basically, we can say what it is. Obviously, right?
It's teeth.
It's teeth, but we can say what the teeth belong to, right?
Can we?
Can we? I mean, surely you'd make it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all approved.
So I can. Shall I say it, or do you want to say it? You say it.
Say it. No, you say. You go first.
Oh, thank you. It's Alien. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have done it.
I can't believe you did that.
I'm so sorry. Oh, damn. Blast.
Yeah, it's an Alien poster.
It's an Alien poster. So, so you said this is something that you already sort of that you'd had a concept for before. Someone guessed Dracula. Incorrect. Sorry. But good. I mean, yeah. There's fangs there for sure.
Fangs, yeah.
So yeah. So was this a piece? Presumably you have a big affection for the film.
A huge affection. It was my first 18s film, and I was 7 years old when I saw it. And my oldest brother was babysitting me, and it was he's a good bit older than me. He's 12 years older than me, and I remember distinctly. He was like, "Okay, I don't know what to do with you. Here, watch this film." Okay, we had the video, the VHS, obviously. And I said, "Mark, are you sure? It's 18s. I don't think I should watch this." You'll love it. And he put it on, and I did. I absolutely adored it, but I was probably a bit too young. And he never babysat me again. And it explains an awful lot of why I have a slightly macabre imagination, I think.
Did you require any counselling at the age of 7 for having seen that? Because
no, but I'd say people were quite shocked at how much I loved it, and probably a little bit concerned that I loved a film like that. I mean, there's not that much cursing in it and stuff. I don't know. But I love it, and so it was a big film. And actually, the original concept, it was the Poster Posse guys who very kindly, a good few years ago, asked me to come on as a guest, not as a member, and do a couple of Alien posters for a tribute. And I had heaped an awful lot of pressure on myself because I love the movie so much, and it's an important film for me. And I did 2 posters, and one of them I hope never sees the light of day again, because there's an awful lot of really bad work I've done, by the way. Not everything is a hit. There's some posters I've done which are just atrociously bad. Even recently, a year or so ago, I've one that I hate. But the other one, I hope it's deleted from everywhere. And the second one, like I say, I liked the concept, and other people liked the concept, and it got a lot of compliments. The title design I did on it was horrendous. I ended up, over the subsequent years, trying to apply different title designs to it, all of which were horrendous. And type is something I would think is, I'm not amazing at, but it's certainly one of my things, and couldn't get it right. And then I said, I need to make this concept decent, knowing what I can do now. And so I made it, and Matt helped me make it look cool, and from an art direction point of view. And then I sent it to Joe and said, "Can we do this?" And so it's coming out the first week in October. So in about 3 weeks' time, it'll be out and about. Awesome.
So we've got a few minutes left. I should invite, if anybody wants to ask any questions to Matt, let us know. We'll try and let it run till, I don't know, 5 minutes. I'll give it 5 minutes. So we'll 5 minutes of questions, because we obviously have to get prepared for the next session. We've got Andrew Swainson is about to draw dinosaurs. It's 18 minutes. We've got 18 minutes left. Is there anything that you have? We've got 18 minutes till the hour's done, so we've only got 5 minutes. But is there anything that we haven't covered there? I think I managed to do it all. I think I managed to do it all.
I think we've covered a good chunk.
I think we covered a good chunk. Matt's, as people are saying in the comments, Matt is a great guy, and we I think there are a lot of people rooting for you, which is, it's nice to see. It's nice to see that it's nice to see that, and I think you're bringing something different to the table as well in terms of just your approach and stuff. So yeah, but I'll just, as I say, get some questions in the comments in the next few minutes, and we'll yeah, we'll
I
we'll
got to
try
say
and ask
that is
them.
very, very nice to hear. It gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling inside. It really does.
You have arrived.
That's lovely. Yeah, very nice. Very
Another. So Stephen Sutcliffe is asking another artist's poster that you've loved from this year.
nice. Ferguson, Empire Strikes Back.
Everybody's saying it. It's so. What is it for you about that you love about that poster?
The first time I saw it, my jaw hit the floor. Like, it's not. There's a lot of posters where you go, "Oh man, that is amazing," but it was. I just thought it was perfect. It's got the composition is amazing. The colors are amazing. It's new, like it hasn't been done before. That meditation chamber is such a clever device to use. I can't believe nobody had thought of it. I just think it's a perfect Star Wars poster. It does hark back to the ones I grew up with when I was a kid.
As Star Wars posters go, it is incredibly Star Wars.
It's perfect. It's actually like the nail could not have been hit any cleaner. It's perfect.
Bembo, as I say, so Uniquely Geekly. It's uniquelygeekly.com, right? There's no hyphen. Off the top of my head, I'm struggling to remember. We'll be putting stuff in. We'll be tweeting out links and stuff. But he said, now that you are that your prints are selling, and do you feel a little, that you've had some great prints come out and they're selling, and there's something this and you're getting sellouts and stuff like that. Are you feeling a little more settled and established in the community?
I definitely feel very welcome. I still feel new, like I'm a newbie. I think, honestly, ask me once Alien, Lynch June, and another one I've done for Vice Press. Ask me when they're out and they've been out and people have seen them, and I'll see how they go down, and then I'll tell you how I feel. I mean, look, I feel absolutely welcomed, and our Facebook group is filling up with collectors all the time, because I can see when people ask to join, I can see the other groups they're in, and they're in Poster Buddies and Traders and Mondo Trader and all these things. So I'm like, yeah, you come on in, and it's great to see, and it's a very supportive community, and it's a lovely, I think, from an artist point of view, that as a commercial illustrator, you don't have fans of book covers. You do have people who admire your work and tell you so, which is lovely. But in the poster community, it is absolutely about the collectors and the artists, and it's really nice. Yeah.
Ian Fraser has asked, are you planning to come to Thought Bubble 2021? I think that means people want to meet you. People want to meet you.
I'm there. Like this was meant to be my first Thought Bubble this year. It was 100% going, because I'd wanted to go in years previous, and last year we had a baby and I couldn't, all that kind of stuff. So this year I'm going to Thought Bubble, and obviously it didn't happen, sadly, but next year there's no way I'm going to miss it. I'm going to have beers with my artist friends and beers with my collector friends, and it's not going to be a session, but there's going to be
never say never. I think that's sort of what Bembo's inviting you onto the Uniquely Geekly table. Accepted,
you,
Bembo. There we go. So you can get the APs that the precious few APs that are left for Dune on Uniquely Geekly. Presumably he's going to click go now. I don't know. Uniquelygeekly.com. It should be there. And then also we've got the few remaining copies, a couple of handfuls only left which came out on Friday, and then of course, as we mentioned earlier, your book's the Ayla trilogy, so the AYLA trilogy, and it's on Amazon and suitable for children ages 10 and up.
10 and up. Younger kids have read it. Adults have read them. There's a lot of us grown-ups that like reading kids' books, and don't be put off when the first chapter of the first book is quite scary and unsettling. Don't be put off. If your child starts to weep while you read the first chapter to them, or they read the first chapter, just tell them to push through. They'll be fine. It'll be okay.
So so those are all the things that you can buy from Matt currently. And
there's one other thing. Sorry.
One other thing.
Literally seconds before we went live, Michael Wood of Under the Floorboards told me he found just I think 4 copies of this Back to the Future poster I'd done with the DeLorean going through
ISO.
just about to go through time.
Yeah, I really want that.
So Michael I think he's found the last 4 copies. They're not screen print, they're litho, I think.
Okay.
And we did talk about doing a screen print of it for this, but we ran out of time. But might be something we look at down the line.
Well, if you do put it out, then you will give us an allotment link, and we can give us a pre-sale link, and we'll give the fans a little heads up.
Yep.
So yeah, James Hobson also, as we leave now, James Hobson saying there might be a special more matte and more art release for Digital Thought Bubble.
Yes. I'm working on 2 things for the amazing brand new More Art gallery. So yes, sorry James, that just went out of my head. But yeah, I've just given him a rough for 1, which he's going to take off and see if he can get approval. And then I am working on another one for him too, and hopefully the start of working on many, many, many things with them. And James is a great fella. I don't know Keir yet, but hopefully I will.
He's all right.
He's all right. Yeah.
No, he's good.
I watched the thing last night, and he seems great. So
yeah, no, he is a great guy.
Guys, and
we've got 10 minutes to prep for Andrew Swainson, so we will have to bid you adieu.
Yes.
You adieu out there, guys.
Thanks so much.
We'll see you in like 10 minutes. It might be 15 because we need a bit of time to set up, but we've got Andrew Swainson drawing dinosaurs, and it is going to be the most soothing thing you've ever watched in your entire life. Head over to Uniquely Geekly. Those Dunes may have already gone, I don't know, uniquelygeekly.com, and you can find AmpJam on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's AmpJam Con, at AmpJam Con, AMPjam